Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is guide for round 9 of the 2021 FIA Manufacturer Series Stage 2 taking place at Lago Maggiore with the Group 3 cars. And let's get this started by mentioning that we are on the racing soft tires and the brake balance on the Dodge Viper is at +2 to try to get the USS Dodge Viper to do this thing called make a turn. So bring yourself towards the right side of the track and you're going to brake just after you pass the 100-meter board. So brake hard for a while and then ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Try to bring yourself a bit towards the middle and brake just before the white area ends. And you want to take advantage of the yellow stuff as that's still on track limits. Nice and easy on the throttle. Lift off of throttle as you make your way through this left turn and start to brake just before you start to pass the black sign that is on the left. Use a small burst of braking and just try to get the car rotated as soon as you can and get on the throttle as soon as you can. Then bring yourself towards the left side of the track and you're going to look for the end of the gray curb that is on the left as you want to brake just as it ends. So use a lot of braking control, so brake hard for a very short moment, then gradually ease off of the brakes. As you turn in, go for a late apex and carefully get on the throttle. Bring yourself towards the right side of the track, brake just before the gray and red area on the right start, and use just a little bit of braking power, and then you want to get on the throttle as soon as you can. If you can, try to take the S's flat out, but if you're in an understeer car like the Viper, you will need to lift off of the throttle so you don't end up in the wall. Then this right turn can easily be taken flat out. Stay on the left side of the track and you want to look for the digital flag that is on the left just before the 50-meter board, as that is your next braking point. So brake hard for a while, nice and easy off of the brakes so you can take advantage of the inside part of the track. Bring yourself towards the right, and especially for the Viper, you want to take advantage of the whole width of the track so you don't have to lift off of the throttle as you're making way through the S's. Stay on the left, look for the 50-meter board, brake before you pass it, brake hard for a short moment, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Lots of braking and throttle control through here. When the curb on the left ends, just use a little bit of braking as you just want to fine-tune the car's direction and then get on the throttle. Finally, bring yourself towards the right side of the track and brake before you reach the 50-meter board before the curb on the right ends. Quick burst of braking through here and get on the throttle as soon as you can one last time, and that is all for the lap guide. So let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. Alright, as we move on over to the qualifying session, you only have 5 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time, which means that you're only going to get 2 chances to try to get the best qualifying time possible. And with the tire wear at ×5, it's actually a little bit on the higher side at a track like Lago Maggiore, as the tire wear, it makes you lose a lot of time, especially as the tires wear out. So you want to be a little careful as you make your way through the outlap, just trying to preserve your tires so you can maximize all the grip as you get ready to start your first qualifying lap. And because of the tire wear situation, you're going to want to try to get the best qualifying lap on your first one, because when you do your second qualifying lap, you'll already have a bit of tire wear, which can make it a lot harder for you to try to improve your qualifying time. So just try to make the first lap count. Just try to nail down every single turn. Try to have a mistake-free run. Slipstream can be useful, especially through the main straight and the back straight, but the only thing is that if the car in front of you messes up, then you're going to get closer to them because you're going faster to them, so you're catching up to them. And if you have to overtake them as you go through a turn, or you have to slow down so you don't end up hitting them, then that's going to ruin your qualifying run. So if you do go for a slipstream qualifying, just be careful of that. And yeah, it's pretty risky. It's a double-edged sword because there are benefits with the slipstream qualifying. You can go faster, you can shave off time, but if the car in front of you messes up and they get in your way, then your qualifying lap is ruined. Or you could be like me and ruin your own qualifying lap because you completely missed the apex. Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle with this car. But anyways, at the end of the day, once again, you only have 2 chances to try to get a good qualifying time. I would actually say you pretty much only have 1 because of the tire wear situation. So try to do your best to nail down every single turn, especially on your first qualifying lap. But as we move on over to the race strategies, we are doing 15 laps at Lago Maggiore with the Group 3 cars. Fuel is a ×3, so fuel is an issue and you want to be short shifting your way so you can hopefully not end up having to refuel. The tire wear is a ×5 and we're only given the racing soft tires to work with, so the soft tires will wear out pretty quickly, which means that you're actually going to want to go for a pit stop. And as I mentioned earlier, you want to try to not refuel, so this is more of a fuel saving race. So you want to try to go into the pit stops for only a tire change. And with the tire wear at ×5, depending on the car that you're using, your tires are going to last around 7 to 8 laps. So you're pretty much going to be pitting around halfway into the race and hopefully go for only a tire change. And also the thing with the tire wear is that you want to try to drive as smoothly as possible because you really want to make sure that you can hopefully get the soft tires to last 7 to 8 laps depending on how long you want your stints to be. So you will need to drive smoothly. You will want to adjust your brake balance to a value that suits you and your car, in which, for example, for me, I have the brake balance at +2, save the front tires, and also to try to get this car to turn. But especially the smooth driving, because if you are over driving the car too much, you're pushing way too much, you're sliding around, your tires are going to wear out really fast to the point where it gets really difficult to be able to make a turn and you'll be losing a lot of time. Because if you're really harsh on your tires, then you'll start to lose around a second per lap around lap 6. Your goal is to try to make the tires last up to 7 or 8 laps. So you want to try to get the 1 second per lap slower drop off to be at around lap 7 to 8. And you'll also kind of notice the tire wear really get to you because you might go through the first turn at your usual braking point, but then suddenly it feels like your car's not stopping, and that's kind of what happened in this race right here. But anyways, we'll talk a bit more about the tires in a moment, but we do need to talk about the fuel. So fuel is an issue. It is at ×3, which means that you want to fuel save. So you're going to pretty much be short shifting for a good chunk or pretty much the entire race. So for example, in the Dodge Viper, I need to shift when the bar reaches half full, and I'll be using just enough fuel to be able to complete the race. Slipstream will also help with the fuel saving as well, so do take account of that, especially whenever you're within 3/4 of a second between yourself and the next car. You're in the slipstream range, so you'll get a free tail and you'll be able to save a bit more fuel. The goal of this race is to only use around 6.5% of fuel per lap, so you hopefully don't end up having to refuel when you enter the pit stops. But before I go on, I do want to note the diamond that is hanging out right here. So this diamond tells you that you'll need this exact amount of fuel to be able to complete the race without running out of fuel, considering that you keep with your current driving style. So take that into account, because if in your second stint you decide to push, you're going to be using more fuel, and that's when you potentially face the risk of running out of fuel, especially if you decide to not take fuel. And if the diamond and the fuel bar are not aligned with each other, then that means that you do have to take fuel. Unless they're like really close to each other, then you can pretty much just get away with a little bit of short shifting, or more short shifting that is, and you'll be fine. But yeah, assuming you're only going in for a tire change, you're going to lose about 15 seconds. So you get a 15-second pit loss if you only go in for a tire change, and you'll need to add a bit more time if you do refuel. Also, as you saw the pit stop exit, the game kind of spits you out into traffic, so you want to be careful about the cars that are coming at you. And for the cars that are not pitting yet, you want to be careful about the cars that are coming out of the pit stop. So hopefully you guys don't crash into each other, because that's a pretty dangerous pit stop exit. And luckily I didn't have to refuel, and I'm just going to keep short shifting. So I'm going to be shifting when the bar is half full. And eventually I'm going to be able to finish the race with actually just a tad bit extra fuel left. So I ended up finishing with around 1% of fuel left. But before I move on, I just want to quickly note that for the fuel mapping, to get to access it, just press D left or D right on your D-pad, and one of the things that will show up on the bottom right hand corner of the screen is the fuel mapping. So you'll be able to see how many laps you have left and how much percent of fuel you have left. You can also adjust the fuel mapping, so by bringing the number closer to 6, you'll be using less engine power but will be saving more fuel. But in this race, I don't think you'll need to use it unless if you're like just short on fuel and you're on the very last lap, then that's when you can probably just start to adjust it. But for the most part, you're not really going to need to adjust it. Pretty much just short shift your way to hopefully not have to refuel. So remember, fuel saving is going to play key in this race, and make sure you drive smoothly so you can make the tires last and hopefully make the fuel last so you don't have to refuel. But anyways, places to overtake and the penalty serving zone. So the main straight, which is where we're at right now, really good place to get the overtake done. And after that, it's going to be a bit more situational as we go through the first sector. And as you see me struggling through here, because yeah, the Viper, I don't know, the Viper just struggles through here. But anyways, going through turn 4, which is this turn right here, you can try to go for an overtake, especially if someone serves a penalty right over in here, because there is a penalty serving zone hanging out right here. Just try to make sure you go for the inside line if you do think about going for a move. But after that, you want to stay in a single file line, especially as you get ready to go through the S's, because if you fight it out through here, you're going to lose a buttload of time, as these are some pretty high speed turns. The Viper oh man, the struggle in the Viper here. But anyways, here is quite possibly the best place to go for an overtake, especially with the use of slipstream. This back straight that goes down to the big banky boy. Make sure you try to get a nice inside line as you go through the big banky boy. Try to get a good exit speed, so hopefully the car that you're trying to overtake doesn't re-overtake you if you get a bad exit. These S's, try to go in a single file line, because battling through there will lead to a lot of time loss. Same goes through here. You can try to go for a move, but it's very situational. You pretty much need to get a quick move done if you do decide to go for a move anywhere in this last sector, so sector 4. And that's pretty much it for places to overtake as we go through the last turn. And yeah, so there are some good places to go for an overtake, like the main straight and the back straight, but there are other places where it's very situational or where you don't want to go for a move. And finally, just after turn 4, here is the only penalty serving zone that is hanging out at Lago Maggiore, so if you get a penalty, you'll be serving it right here. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this guide. Once again, this is a one-stop race where you want to try to make sure that you drive smoothly to have the racing soft tires last 7 to 8 laps, depending on how long you want your stint to be, and just make sure you save enough fuel. So just do a lot of short shifting, especially under someone's slipstream, as that can be really useful. So hopefully you don't have to refuel. And did I mention that slipstream is really useful here for fuel saving and overtaking? Because I think I haven't mentioned that. I know I have, but I just want to make that point clear. And this race is, at least to me, this was a bit of a more frustrating race, probably because the Viper just didn't want to turn throughout this race. This car is just not that good here, but keep your cool, because there are going to be quite a few frustrating moments, especially in this race that's almost half an hour long. So yeah, whatever happens, just try to keep your cool, because the last thing you want to do is lose your cool and then just end up doing something really silly. But yeah, that's all for me. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you guys for the support, and thank you to Playseat for supporting the channel as well. But anyways, that's all for me. This is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.